Using video conferencing can help you a lot in communicating and reaching the world. And today we're going to have a tour of Zoom.us. It's a new tool. Actually, it's been around for a while, but we're going to find out it's new to a lot of us. And to show us that is Mr. Wayne Berry. He is joining us as an expert on this, going to tell us about it. And Winston Marsh will also be joining us there. So Wayne, I'm going to turn it over to you and have you show us around and let us see what's happening here.
That's great, Terry. Yeah, I'm in Melbourne, Australia, and you're in Orlando, Florida. And of course, Winston is also, just happens to be in Melbourne, Australia. And as we were chatting beforehand, of course, we've all pressed the record button on this. So we're all getting this recorded immediately onto our hard drive. And I think from my point of view, when I do video conferences, and I do video conferencing an awful lot with my clients, what I used to do is I'd have the video conference coaching session with them. And I was using, by the way, Google. I was also using GoToMeeting. I was using Skype. And then, of course, I had to upload the video, send them a link so they could look at it and fool around. And what I do now is I simply enable, as you saw before, the person who's hosting the event can actually control many of the people who are on the line at the same time. So I can give permission for everyone to record, and they can just record straight onto their hard drive, have immediate access to the video afterwards, which is what we're all doing here right now. So I think that's one of the first things well worth mentioning. I think one of the other things that you commented on a moment ago, just before we started the recording here now, is the clarity of the image. It is very, very good. Now, I'm using actually just a Logitech camera on my Mac that gives me an even better quality picture than my, eyesight camera?
Yes.
You gentlemen, what are you using? Are you using just your laptop cameras, or are you using a Logitech or something on top?
I'm using a Logitech. I use it for all of the conferences I do. Working well, and I hope I'm looking good to you two guys.
Yeah, and I'm using the Logitech C920, the C920, which is good. The only disadvantage, Wayne, is that it picks up every little wrinkle and blemish that might be there.
Well, you don't have any, Terry, particularly in this area here.
We're trying to cut it. I combed my hair really well for you tonight, just for this. Wayne, does the hair look okay tonight?
A bit of a shine there, just a bit of a bounce, Terry.
So I guess we're all coming from the perspective of having had experience with many different video systems. In fact, I go way, way back to something called Globalpreneurs that was out of the United States many, many years ago that I started experimenting with, probably going back about 7 or 8 years. And as you would know, and perhaps some of our viewers may not know, I shifted my business mostly to online around about 8 years or so ago now, and deliberately so, to enable me not to have to get on and off planes, in and out of hotels, and continue the traditional method of speaking business. So I now train and coach people literally anywhere in the world through my online coaching program, which is done online. But that includes 5 video conferences with groups within the first 12 weeks, and then regular video conferences afterwards, as well as special video conferences that we do. The other thing I do, of course, is I do broadcasts. I call it web TV. I call it my Top Gun web TV channel, as opposed to calling them webinars. So I promote these. I do at least one per month. And when I spoke to the Zoom people, I'll show you that in just a moment. I did an interview with the Zoom people just a few weeks ago now. I really don't even like to call it webinars anymore, or webinars, because webinar tends to conjure up that term of a slideshow with voiceover in the background, as opposed to what we've got here right now, where we're doing literally like a web TV broadcast. It's voice actuated as well, so as you gentlemen can see, you can choose the view that you have on your screen, but whoever is speaking basically goes big picture when we're doing a web TV show, and it switches between whoever happens to be activating the microphone at the time.
Yeah, it seems to work really well. Matter of fact, Wayne, if I can interrupt you for a moment, it seems like those that have been doing webinars, often they would say, well, yeah, but I've got these PowerPoint slides, these keynote slides. I think it would also do that. Is that correct? You could show those as well.
Absolutely. So if I just click on screen share now, it now is giving me a choice of what I'm going to share on the screen. So for example, and I'm just looking here to choose which is going to be suitable to show you. Here we go. If I choose this now, so so you should be able to see my screen there now with a PowerPoint presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, it does that as per we'd be used to with other systems, which is pretty neat. To my mind, there's a lot more certainty in my mind when I decide to select screen share with this than when I was using Google or anything else, because it seemed a little haphazard to me. Maybe I'm not very bright or something, but it just didn't seem to work so well. What I really like about this one is that you can screen share videos. Now, you might say, well, there's nothing new about that. We've always been able to do that. Yes, but on previous systems, the sound used to come through our microphone here and was really scratchy. So if I now screen share and change that screen share to another screen, a new window. So I look here, it gives me a choice on the screen as to which ones I want to share. And if I now, here's one I've set up previously. This is a video. Tell me if you've got that full screen now.
Here we have. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So around about 3 weeks ago, I did a web TV show that I pre-recorded because the two presenters, myself and Harry McIntosh, our senior sales coach, we're going to be in two different locations, but we thought we'd really like to record this together face-to-face, and we did it in the Top Gun studio, which incidentally is a mobile studio. Wherever we happen to go, we can take the equipment and just set it up and it's there. So this was actually recorded, and we made no secret of the fact that they were going to be watching a recording, because we were actually on screen as well saying, well, okay, here's the intro, here's the reason we did it this way, and we're right here, we're live, we're going to screen this to you, show this to you, and we're going to take questions at the end. And of course, there is the Q&A function where they can type questions and it'll come up on the screen and we can answer them. So I'll just show you how this screen sharing goes on video. You'll hear the good quality sound. I'll just let it run a couple of seconds so you can hear. Well, thank you for joining us in this leadership session. I'm speaking with Harry McIntosh, Top Gun Sales Coach. And one of the challenges that we face all the time... Okay, I'll just stop that there. You should have heard the quality of sound that came through.
Yes, that was good. I like that, the fact that you can use it, because video is becoming a more integral part of presentations today. We're using it for so many things, including this, but now you get video in video. It's like, woo, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really is great. I'll just show our viewers here where, if they like, now you should be able to see now my website. Okay, so if people would like to go to my website, which is just www.topgunba.com.au, or simply my name, wayneberry.com.au, they'll actually see my website. Now, if we go in here and have a little look, the Top Gun Web TV tab is on the top there. If they'd like to have a little look, here's the interview I actually did as a web TV broadcast. When was it? When does it say that? On the 27th of February, latest breakthroughs in video conferencing, where I actually interviewed a couple of people from Zoom US, and of course they're based in San Francisco over there. And when I create these products, or these web TV broadcasts, and just to back up, the reason I do it, of course, is I want my clients to see me as a resource, not just for what I do, which is sales training, sales management training, that sort of thing. But I want to put my name in front of them frequently and be seen as a resource for any great ideas that I come across. So, for example, this was on video conferencing. So I did that 1 hour, in fact, 62-minute interview there, which they can go and look at. And so from a tutorial point of view, they may care to have a look at that if they'd like to know more about Zoom. Just below that, I put all of my recent broadcasts here. So here's that one I just started to show you, how to build a high-performance sales team. Below that, how to use videos as a selling and marketing tool, where I interviewed some people from Wistia in the United States, and Look Media, an Australian production company that make little videos. And as I scroll it down, I did some Q&A sessions. These were not done with Skype, with Zoom. These were with Google. But again, I put them all down there as resource to my clients. And if I keep rolling down, there's even one here featuring a fairly recognizable face.
He looks familiar. That background looks very familiar.
So that was a long time ago. That was nearly a year ago, back in 2014, when we were using Google in those days. So, that's how I use those. They work extremely well. Now, I better shut up for a little while. Now, you've got some questions possibly from what we just spoke about.
Yeah, Wayne, we've leapt ahead here, haven't we, into videos and PowerPoints. Could you just explain how you got Terry and I here? In other words, the setup simplicity and what your options
Fantastic.
are and that sort of stuff. You know, begin at the beginning, if you like.
Thank you. Absolutely. It was really complicated. I clicked in the setup. I said, create an event, which I did. It then plopped that into my calendar and also gave me the option to send an email to you and an email to Terry where you got a single line link. End of story. That was it. You clicked on that link, as you know, and like magic, suddenly we're there. It's not necessary. You do have the facility you can phone in, but you don't have to phone in for audio quality. And when I used GoToMeeting, I must admit, I always phoned in because the audio quality was so bad. And it didn't matter if the video was a little wonky, but if the audio quality was bad and people were saying, can you hear me? Can you hear me? That drives people crazy. But we're all just using the sound from the computer this morning, and it's clear. But the beautiful thing that I like about it is that, yeah, sure, most people are on Skype these days and you can connect through Skype, but I think the video quality isn't quite as good and the dropouts and the sound quality isn't anywhere near as good as this. But it's easy. You send the link to anyone who, whether they've used Zoom before or not, they click on the link, and if they haven't already used Zoom, it'll ask them, do you want to download the software? The software is small. It downloads in, about 2 minutes? Literally within 2 or 3 minutes, suddenly you're talking. Yeah.
I don't have to be a subscriber.
No.
Only you.
Free.
Yep.
Free, yeah. Well, anyone can do this. Anyone can go to zoom.us and just immediately start one with someone. You don't have to pay. You can have up to 10 people on the screen at the one time talking. You can use all of the facilities. And then if you want to pay and subscribe for some of their additional features, and they have some incredible stuff, which if people want to view that video, they're at my website, they can see everything that's in there. But then I think it starts from about $9.95 US per month. And then if you want to do a video broadcasts like I do, it steps up depending on the number of people you'd like to have on there at the one time, starting at about 100 participants or 100 viewers, I should say, up to thousands there. I had an instance a little while back where I wanted to bring about a dozen salespeople on from various parts of Australia. And what I didn't realize, the company had a block on software. They couldn't download it. So when they went onto their laptop, they couldn't download it. So they were phoning me saying, what should I do? And I said, well, not a problem at all. Just use your iPhone or your smartphone, click on the link and you'll be there. And within minutes, they were all boom, 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 come up on the screen. They all were doing it from their iPhone. So it's really easy from any device. And I think that's one of the real advantages of it. It's simple. They don't have to be a subscriber. They don't have to pay anything. They can click on the link and within minutes, suddenly they're
Sounds good. Now, Wayne, I had a question. I want to follow up on what you talked about bringing in people. One of the things I like about Google Plus Hangouts is that you can have literally an unlimited number of people, well, as many as can get on YouTube at one time. Suppose I wanted to bring in a literal number, say 20, 30,000 people. I can do that on Google Plus Hangouts for a reasonable price of $0. How does that contrast to Zoom.us?
Okay, you do have to, so that's a broadcast. So that's what I'm calling like a webinar or a broadcast.
Exactly. Free to the world. I'm going to tell them about a new product that I've got, maybe have a sales offer in the middle of it, something like that. It's a television show.
With Zoom, you pay for that service, no doubt about it. You pay for that. But it's not costly. It's anywhere from, I think, around $49 a month up to, I don't know, several $100s a month. Then it steps up, huge audiences that can come in on that. So it's not expensive. And just from my point of view, to save the nervous breakdown factor, because every time I used Google, I really almost had a nervous breakdown because, like, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? And you and I, we three were on the line, weren't we, when national speakers tried to organise something a little while back, and you appeared, you disappeared, and we couldn't get people on, and people were upset and, frustrated. And
a little more of a learning curve on Google Plus Hangouts. Once it works, and I found with something like Webinar Jam, it tends to work a little bit better. But one of the things I think you can do, and I really am curious about this, I'm just getting into Zoom.us myself today. Matter of fact, I had a call earlier today with a client that we're talking to about doing some work, and he wanted to use Zoom.us. So, okay, fine, we did. I like it. But I think this could really be handy. There's sometimes you want to broadcast it to the world for free. Yeah. You want everyone to see your product. You're going to say, here, buy my new widget. I've got it right here. It's great, et cetera. And here's the way you can buy it, et cetera. But what about those times when I want it to be private? I don't want everyone to know about it. Only those that know the secret handshake and they know how to get in there and do this, or they paid a fee and now it's a private group. Can we do that on Zoom.us?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're doing now, basically. We're having a private one where there's just us on the line here. Yes, we can invite specific people. We can have it password protected. We can only allow in those who pay. If you want to generate business online where people pay to be a part of this. And again, it's very simple. You send them the link. It's an interesting little log-on system. They get the link in advance and they click on it. And of course, it embeds it in the calendar as well, and it pops up on the screen or on your iPhone to remind you you've got a Zoom conference starting in 10 minutes' time, which is a really neat little
sounds nice. How many people can I bring in? If I've sold a few hundred copies and I want to bring in only those few hundred into this private meeting, can I do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And funny thing happened
before you go on, Wayne.
Yeah.
Before you go on, can I make another point? Because you'll remember Wayne, Terry, I, and a couple of other people from around the world did do a Google Hangout. And I think you had to have a rehearsal, and then you had to have some private sessions with people to get their name on the screen and all that sort of stuff. Now, we haven't had a rehearsal for this. You've just invited us, and that's it. So the simplicity in itself, it's just amazing how easy it is.
It's very nice.
Yeah. And no sedatives either, or alcohol required to.
Well, I don't know about that. It's a different time zone over here,
But it was always so stressful, particularly when you got hundreds of people or thousands of people going to watch you live, and often it didn't work, and it was pretty terrible when that would happen. Now, here's an interesting thing though that I have observed. I do these monthly now, and the number of people who come online and watch my live broadcasts is diminishing. I have to tell you, diminishing. Now, that's not sad because the number of people who watch the replay is increasing dramatically. Yeah. I guess because I've gotten into the routine of telling people that if they can't see it live, the recording is going to be available to them. And to some extent, I've trained people to not even bother to bother viewing it live, which initially I was concerned about, but not really, because I end up with a couple of hundred people online. We interact really nicely, but I have literally thousands of people then they view it afterwards, the recording. And of course, I can tweak the recording. I can run it through iMovie. I can add subtitles and do all the nifty things that you do, Terry, to really enhance the value. And then just put it up there, send people a link to my website. Now, as opposed to Google, where people would go to YouTube and watch it on YouTube and possibly get to see my competitors' videos come up afterwards. And I know you can disable that. And I always used to embed using Wistia and put it on my website. I want people to have to go to my website to view my videos, because while they're there, they can see all the other things that I do. I don't particularly want them to just go to YouTube to view it. So I'm very happy for people to come and watch the recordings afterwards rather than have to watch them live, which also, by the way, means that the fee that I pay to Zoom is actually less because I only need one that will cope with a few hundred people watching it at the one time rather than a few thousand people. But the end result's the same. I still end up with thousands of people watching it. And as you saw before, I embed it. I'll put it on my website. And the viewing, people come and they look at the last one, and they scroll down, they look at the one below it, and they look down. And it's constantly over a period of a year. People are constantly looking at the old videos, and it's just terrific.
Yeah, and I think a real advantage of that is you're bringing them, like you said, to your website, because while they're watching your video, they might scroll up and down elsewhere, and by golly, there's an ad for a delicious product that you have that can solve their problem. They can click on that, and they see it from you, versus if they're on YouTube, it's okay, but they're also seeing possible competitors. They can see other options. I think this gives a little bit more control from a marketing point of view. That's a real strategic advantage, and advantage to Zoom.us.
Two questions, Wayne. You could tell the number of people that have watched the recording. Do you just Google Analytics, or is there a counter or something that tells you that?
Okay. What I do is I use Wistia, wistia.com in the United States for all of my hosting of all of my videos, including my online courses. And I've got all the analytics from that. I can also see, and by the way, again, if people are having a look at my website there and they want to scroll down to the interview that I did with Wistia, the young lady I'm talking to at Wistia there explains all the analytics, what's available. But with the analytics there, you can even tell what their level of attention was during watching the video, when they departed, when they came on, how much they watched, when they left the video. It's quite incredible.
Very nice.
Spell that domain name, please, Wayne.
Wistia, WISTIA.com.
And also where they can find your content. And just in case someone's joining this and doesn't know that, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, again, the best way is my website, wayneberry.com.au or topgunba.com.au, all leads to the same place. My company, of course, is called Top Gun Business Academy International, and I guess the reason's obvious. It's because of my striking similarity to Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I was noticing that.
The other question I had, Wayne, is if you were doing a video for some reason that wasn't going out to a whole lot of people, but you wanted to record a video, you could use this, couldn't you?
Absolutely, yeah. Particularly if you're interviewing people. Well, I guess so. If you were just recording one on your own that you wanted to record this way, you could just do that and then send a link to it.
So it's pretty multi-purpose, isn't it?
It really is. It's about the best I've found, and I do keep looking around. But I started to say something very unusual happened. I had a phone call. It happened to me twice now since I started using Zoom. I get a phone call. They actually say, "Hey, it's John here from customer service in Zoom." Hello? Really? Yeah. What do you want? It's like, haven't I paid my account? No. Customer service call. Are you happy? Is everything going okay? Can I help you in any way? I mean, when was the last time you get a call from Google or Skype or someone like that? I mean, I just find that's absolutely incredible. The customer service level is extremely high.
That is really good. That will, as Winston says, make them say wow. And that's a great way to do it. And also it shows the benefits of when you're dealing with someone who is not doing as well, they're hustling, they're striving more. They're going to put in a little bit extra effort because they want to get ahead. They're not as popular as a Skype or a Google Plus Hangout, so they strive harder.
Yep, indeed. And you can do all sorts of things like annotate. Is that the right word? You can draw on the screen and do all those kind of things.
Dazzle us. Draw something on the screen.
I was afraid you were going to say that. I'm not quite sure how to do that. Just having a look. I don't use it. Some of these bells and whistles just don't seem like things that are needed.
Realize, ladies and gentlemen, we are in beta learning here. We're still learning this as we go, and this is the way it really is. You can tell we didn't have a script for this one, so that's okay. So we put Mr. Berry there on the spot.
Look, you have to. You go into screen. Excuse me. You go into screen sharing mode, and then you can annotate. And you can do all sorts of things, which I won't worry about now. But it's very, very simple. I've tested it all out, but in reality, I just find I just don't need to use it very much at all.
That could be useful in some places where people are doing a whiteboard and they want to write some notes down, and you want to circle this one and circle that, or say draw a quick little arrow or something. That might be helpful there. And
I'm not sure we should have introduced Terry to this, Wayne. I think he's going to go mad, and there's going to be gizmos and whiteboards and God knows what else. You know what he's
liable to happen.
I just remind our viewers and me that up to about 10, and for basic use, which is the sort of stuff we're doing now, it's free, Wayne.
Absolutely free, yeah.
So that competes nicely with Hangouts, doesn't it?
Yeah, that makes a very good point, what you just said, Winston, because I think that way, when you think about it, the amount of content you can create is enormous. And I would say having 10 people sometimes can be a little bit overbearing. I mean, think about having 10 people in a room. That could be okay, but everyone talking at the same time, particularly if they're a bunch of speakers, that could be really rough. But if you could have you and maybe 2 experts that might have opposing views on a particular subject, and then you get a chance to talk to them and interview them and ask each one different things, and they can show their own evidence. They could say, well, let me show you here the website, and they go over and illustrate their website, or they bring up their own PowerPoint presentation or keynote presentation. And I think that Zoom.us has some real strong features for that.
Well, being able to do that, give someone else the ability to screen share with you is really good. Yes, Winston?
Some of the applications you use it for, you use it in the sales process. Sometimes you don't go to a selling meeting, you would use this and to the prospect.
Indeed. I use it for just normal communication with prospects. So, for example, if, for example, I'm speaking with a regional sales manager in Victoria, because I can get to see that person face to face, but I know the decision makers, the real decision makers, are in Sydney and Brisbane. I can bring them all together on the screen at the one time and have that conversation and get a decision, as opposed to them saying, I need to speak to George. So let's get George in on the meeting. So I think that's really useful from a sales perspective, being able to do that.
So then, Wayne, you use it for one-on-one type coaching, I imagine, which for our listeners or viewers might be explaining how the widget works or how the pipe goes into the flange or something like that. So it's got
Indeed.
that.
Yeah, and you can screen share, and as you saw before, you can screen share videos, you can screen share anything at all that you like to do that.
Then you could use it as we use YouTube in many ways. You could use it as instructional. So you could say to people, go there and see that as you've shown us. And then finally, you use your web TV, not web, what do you call them? TV casts.
Yeah, I call them web TV broadcasts, yeah.
So multiple users for people who aren't necessarily speakers like us. I mean, it's saying, how do I use this technology in my company? I can see it's, occasionally the managing director could talk to a consumer and solve a problem and all that sort of stuff. It's marvellous.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think so. I think it's also just for the team stuff. For example, when I do video conferencing with sales teams now, and I do that nationally and internationally, we will have very often individuals located in different places who just happen to be out on sales calls, or they're staying in a hotel somewhere. So they're on individual screens. In that same hookup, we can see people sitting in groups, small groups in boardrooms, and we get them all over the place. And one national sales manager said to me, it's really interesting. Since we started working with you, I didn't realize that we're having national sales conferences weekly. We used to have them like once a year, once every 2 years. The synergy, the team spirit that's building, actually people being able to see each other in a facilitated discussion, which I run for them, has been a tremendous team-building value to them. So I think that the human touch, as Terry often talks about, the fact that, it's ideal if you can be face-to-face with somebody, and that is good, but just to put a human face to people in different states, different locations, who only see each other maybe once every couple of years at a national conference or something like that, to actually see each other is so useful, and to sort out problems and build teams and instruct. And what I keep telling my clients is, why would you not do this to build relationships with your customers? For example, if you have a technical problem or you offer some kind of system solution, why wouldn't you put on a web broadcast once a month, like I do, on whatever the subject might be? It could be on, how to install pumps more effectively. It could be some tips and some ideas on what's happening in the printing world these days, and how there are different things available. Why wouldn't you do that to educate your customers and build a relationship with your customers, and stand out from the rest of the competitors who don't do that? And it's free. You just do that inexpensively and free, and build the relationship.
Yeah. Matter of fact, if I can emphasize something that you mentioned, I think is a real good marketing point, the fact that we can do it now on the mobile devices, and it's very easy. That's important. It makes it more frictionless to be able to operate and get things done, because often companies are going to say, hey, we blocked it on our company computer, but people have their own. We call it BYOD, bring your own device. And that's a real issue right now in many large corporations. This gives you the ability. Now, a question that I did have, Wayne, sometimes you might have, let's pretend you've got a scenario where you've got 400 people meeting across the country. They're watching you at the same time you paid it. You got 400 people. And one at a time, you want to bring them in so you can talk to Herb over in Brisbane. Then you want to get Mary over in Perth, et cetera. Bring them in, and then they sit down, then they go off. Can we do that? And how would we go about doing that?
Absolutely. It's as easy as you saw me do earlier about, it's called Manage Participants. So I can go into, because I initiated the call this morning, I set up the call this morning, I can go into Manage Participants, choose Mary in Perth, and give her the floor, give her the screen. She'll come on the screen full size, or I can select 2 or 3 different people that I want to interview and have there, and only they are on the screen, but everyone can see them. And just click of a button, so easy.
Then she sits down and you switch over to someone else in Alice Creek or whatever, and you'll be able to bring in that person.
Yeah, Alice Creek, that's a good one. I haven't been there. But
neither have I, but we got to go sometime.
But it goes even one step further than that. What are you saying? Yes, you can click between them. To make it visually more interesting, so it automatically switches where the voice happens to be, but you can act like doing vision switching in a television studio, just to make the picture a little bit more interesting. You can control. You can look over at Fred and Mary and what they're doing, or throw something up on the screen yourself, and be the technical mixer of the vision as well.
You could have some fun with that. So if Mary or Herb is over here and he's doing this when he should be watching over here, and he's doing one of these, you can click over to him like that and go, everybody look what he's doing there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Embarrass the daylights out of him, right?
I'm glad we didn't have that on Google Hangouts, because you remember that one I did with you, Wayne, and Terry. It was midnight in France where I was, and occasionally I drifted off a bit, and you would have had me full screen snoozing.
Yeah, you'd been up for like 3 days solid, I think, and the jet lag was there, so you were falling asleep.
But listen, this is wonderful. What other features have we got, Wayne, that we haven't talked about?
Just one other point. I think the immediacy of doing video too is really, really good. I had a client contact me literally yesterday morning, said, hey, I've got a meeting in Sydney today, with my group, and I'm seeing them, and we're trying to get more people excited about coming up to the Whitsundays for the conference. Could you do me a little video? And so what I did was, with my iPhone yesterday, and I actually had the good camera equipment in the boot of the car, but I didn't take it out. I just used the iPhone, shot a quick video, a little 1-minute video, and shot that to him, and it had the immediacy of me just sending a message, and it was obvious it was from my iPhone. It was a selfie. I was holding it that way. But the immediacy of that, and the communication, the fact that I took the time to do that, when he shows that to the people this morning, and I sent him a link, so I did it that way, he's just going to be able to show his group then. It's, hey, Wayne Berry, it's here. It's cold in Melbourne, but I'm going to be up there in the Whitsundays with you in July. And it was a very personalised message. I think just using video frequently for that kind of stuff, it's so easy to do when you know how to do it. And how do you learn how to do anything? Start. And then get the discipline of doing it until you become very good at it. But I will touch those people in Sydney today at that meeting in a way that just is completely different from him standing in the front of the room saying, now, by the way, we've got this joker coming up to the Whitsundays to speak at our conference. His name's Wayne Berry. He's pretty good. There's my little message to them. I even put some sailing footage on the end there and a little bit of music and so forth to entice them. And what did that cost me to do that? Nothing. I literally shot it in a car park because I was waiting at the airport to pick someone up. I shot it in a car park while I was waiting in the car, edited it, uploaded it, did it all in 15 minutes. And I'm a superstar as far as the client's concerned. Wow, Wayne did all that. So again, for people watching, you can just be different to your competitors. And if you're a speaker, regardless of what business you're in, you can be just completely different to your competitors by being responsive and being video, doing things that involve video rather than the way that we used to do it in yesteryear. Now, that didn't exactly answer your question, but I hope that was interesting. Yeah,
Wayne, I have a question. You said I had expensive equipment in the car. Can you tell us, as a traveling video man, what equipment do you have? Do you have a green screen that you portable that you use occasionally? What exactly do you use to do such a great job?
Okay. If people, when they go to my website, when I have a look at my website, you'll notice now that my website is populated with videos. There's very little text there anymore, whereas we used to have explanations of each module, what's covered. It's still there in writing, but you got to look for it. There are short videos there now. So I went into a studio 6 months or so ago, and I've been using video and shooting videos for a long, long time, but I'm just amazed at how it's simple to do these days. I went into the studio, I had a look at their equipment, and they had the green screen behind, and I was familiar with that, and they had the auto cue, the teleprompter set up there, and they had the camera, and I went around and had a look at the camera, and it was a DSLR camera, so that's a digital camera.
Single lens reflex.
Yeah, single. That's it. Camera. What are you shooting on? Oh, yeah, we just shoot on a camera. Really, not even a video camera. Yeah, great. And as our viewers may or may not know, it's the quality of the lens as well. So I went out and I bought a Nikon top of the range D810 DSLR camera around about 6 months or so ago with some really good lenses 35mm, 85mm in a zoom, and that gives me better quality than in the studio that I was shooting in, and I did a contra with them. I rarely pay for anything, but and so I looked at all their gear and I thought, well, I've got 80% of that stuff now. So in Melbourne, there's a company called Dragon Image, and I went down to them. I had a look at the stuff. I've got the green screen. I've got the stands that collapse and easy put in the boot of the car. I've got the camera. I've got a teleprompter that just folds flat, sits up on a tripod, very simple to do. So I guess my kit now, the cameras and the lenses, they were a few dollars, maybe $6,000, but the rest of the stuff these days is so inexpensive. For a couple of $1,000, you've basically got a studio. The video images you saw before of myself there with Harry McIntosh shot in the Top Gun studio was my living room. I literally set that up in my living room so I could do it after hours and not have to travel anywhere. And we set it up. The lighting, you buy lighting fairly inexpensively, and with a good quality camera, the light setting can be so low, and you get that intimate feeling of warmth from low lighting.
You haven't mentioned sound. Now, do you use a Wi-Fi sound mic, or do you use a wired mic?
I use a dead cat.
That also can work in some cases.
I haven't
not
got it
necessarily
here.
recommended.
It's literally called a dead cat. I'm not kidding. And what that is, it's a short boom microphone. It only costs a few $100s, and it has a furry thing around it to stop with the deaden the sound. They call it a dead cat. It means that when I go to the beach or shoot out in wind, it muffles the wind, so that stops the wind noise. I bought for a couple $100 a boom that goes above me. So if this was being shot here now, there would be the microphone just sitting out of shot above me here, getting the sound. But with this kind of stuff, I'm using the good old Apple earphone, just half of it rather than sort of like that. That gives me good quality sound. But no, if I'm recording studio type stuff, I just now use the boom mic. I've experimented with having wireless microphones, but then you get a source of power, a battery supply, and plug it in. And so these days, I have somebody who either I'm just a few feet away from the camera with this microphone boom mic on the top of the shoe on the camera, picking up the sound, or I have it wired into the camera. But you're absolutely right, Winston. The quality of the sound is so important.
And you remote control your camera most times, because most of the times you're shooting it by yourself, aren't you?
Well, I've got some friends now. I know that's unusual. I haven't had many before, but I actually have someone. I have someone who shoots stuff for me now, and she does a great job. But no, look, I used to shoot most of the stuff on my own, and I used to just use the iPhone to do that, and just literally hold it up against the wall so it was solid and not shaking around too much. But these days, now again, I got a tripod. I'll set it up. I've got a screen that faces me, so if I'm doing it on my own, I literally can set it up and have a screen facing me, and I can see exactly what the image is there. I've tested out the sound quality, and it's absolutely studio quality these days. And the point I guess I'm making is you can do this for a couple of $1,000, and you've got it, and you can put it on a plane and take it somewhere and set up and just shoot this stuff. Green screen is so easy. You just edit it in iMovie these days, drop in any background that you want there.
Absolutely.
The discipline, Winston, I think, to just do it, to learn it and do it, because I know so many speakers have so much wonderful information they could share and they don't do it. And I say to them, well, why aren't you doing this? I don't know how to do it. Hey, the answer to everything's on YouTube, and that's all I do.
There you go.
I want to learn something, so I look at YouTube and I'll put in several hours learning, and then get into it and do it. And why wouldn't you do it?
YouTube really is a great source for that. It really has worked for you, Wayne. I can remember the good old days when we used to call you Crazy Wayne. And now,
I still do.
Yeah. So this has been wonderful, Terry. Thank you and Wayne for organising it.
Well, thank you very much. And for those of you joining, be sure and find out more about this. Get in there, practice, and experiment with it. I'm Terry Brock here in Orlando, Florida. We have Winston Marsh in Melbourne and also Wayne Berry. And we will look forward to seeing you and hearing from you later.
Indeed. Bye for now.
Bye for now.